The UFC calendar rolls on with the UFC Fight Night event in Seattle, Washington, where Henry Cejudo will take on Song Yadong in a bantamweight main event. And just like the UFC's calendar, UFC Best Bets will roll along as well, as always, with Brett Okamoto, myself, alongside Ian Parker. We are here to break this card down, as always, from a gambling perspective. Can't believe, man, we're already in the third week of February, 2025, just flying by, trying to put a little bit of extra money in those pockets all year long. We are going to be talking about this UFC Fight Night card in Seattle. But first, let's take a look back at last week's UFC Fight Night card from the Apex. How did we do, Mr. Parker?
Man, we started off really well. We hit Angela Hill. We hit Shabazian for the 3-unit. Where we got smoked on, though, was Gregory Rodriguez inside the distance. Him not winning that fight was my 5-unit play, which set us back. We hit Zalal by decision as our prop of the night. So minus the parlay and Gregory Rodriguez, had Rodriguez finished like he looked like he was going to in round 1, we would have had a winning night, but he didn't, so we didn't. I need Seattle to be a winning night. We need to take this into 313 and turn this around. Plenty of time to do it. All it takes is a couple of these premium plays to really get there.
Which we absolutely will. Gregory Rodriguez looked like he was going to get the job done in the first round, but credit to Jared Cannonier for turning it around in a big way there last Saturday. Let's talk about this main event. It's number 7 versus number 8 at 135 pounds. Henry Cejudo, Triple C, King of the Cringe. He is coming in as an underdog here to Song Yadong. I think the biggest reason is that age difference. Henry Cejudo, 38 years old, coming off of a year off, taking on Song Yadong, who is minus 270 against the former two-weight champion. How are we looking to handicap this crucial fight at 135 pounds, Ian?
You know, the odds are a little heavy in Song Yadong's favor, but expectedly so. To your point, the age difference. Also, where Cejudo you would think would have the advantage, it's going to be tough, right? Cejudo's not the same wrestler and dominant one that he once was. If he can't get Yadong down and keep him down for 5 rounds, he doesn't win this fight. On the feet, Song Yadong was the better striker. He's more explosive. He's got good cardio. We've seen him go 5 rounds at a very strong pace. I do think maybe Henry gets some wrestling success early on, but for me, Brett, I'm going to get this number down. I do like Song Yadong to win this fight. I'm not even questioning that. But for me, let's go Song Yadong to win in over 2.5 rounds. I think this fight goes pretty deep, possibly bell to bell. So if you want to take Yadong by decision and get plus money, by all means, go for it. But for me, I'll pay a little bit of juice, but a lot less to take that over 2.5 with him on the money line.
Yep, it's tough to take Henry Cejudo at 38 years old. It's also tough to take Song Yadong, though, at this price. I think this price is pretty accurately placed there at minus 270. Not too much value here on either side, in my opinion. Let's go to the co-main event. 185 pounds is Brendan Allen taking on Anthony Hernandez. Brendan Allen was on that 7-fight win streak, but I don't think the betting community ever fully got on board with this guy. The odds were never too high in Brendan Allen's favor. He had a close split decision win against Chris Curtis, and then he lost to Nasruddin Imavov. That is what snapped the 7-fight win streak. Anthony Hernandez, he's kind of the opposite. I think the betting community has really gotten behind him. You've seen some wide odds on some of his fights. He is a minus 330 favorite in the co-main event, taking on Brendan Allen. How do you go about breaking down this one at 185 pounds?
Well, look, Brendan Allen is somebody that has a ton of skills. He's very well-rounded, but whenever he gets to that big fight to get him to the next level, he kind of just collapses. Against Chris Curtis, a lot of people thought he lost that fight. I think in this fight, he's going to be in some trouble with Fluffy Hernandez. Now, Brett, if this was a 5-round fight, I think I'd be putting everything I owned on Hernandez to get it done inside the distance because of how suffocating he is, that menacing pace. He just doesn't stop. And I don't really know where Allen beats him in this fight. But because it's 3 rounds, I do think Allen can survive here. So I have 2 plays. One, I'm going to go Anthony Hernandez in over 1.5. That's going to get that minus 330 number down to minus 149, where I think that is absolutely playable. I believe Brendan Allen is good enough to get bell to bell. And my prop of the night is going to be Hernandez by decision. I think he's just going to close the distance. He's going to tie him up, land in top position, and grind out a win here, and just keep moving up the ladder in this division. He's probably the dark horse that people aren't expecting that's going to be there.
All right, so you got a prop of the night there on the middleweight co-main event. It's an important fight, too, number 12 versus number 9 there in the middleweight division. Let's move on to a catchweight fight. Rob Font was supposed to fight Dominic Cruz. Alas, Cruz injured his shoulder and instead retired instead of showing up at UFC Fight Night Seattle. He takes on Matsumoto, who is undefeated. Tough fight here for Rob Font taking on he is the number 9 ranked, taking on an unranked guy who I think the UFC kind of likes here, Matsumoto. And the betting community, the odds makers like him as well, minus 155, even though he's the one coming in on short notice. What do you think of this one?
I'm going against the odds makers here. I'm taking Rob Font as an underdog. And I'll be honest, I'm very confused with this line, why it is. Unless the odds makers or everyone assumes that Matsumoto, who's known for his ground game more or less, is just going to be able to ragdoll Rob Font for 3 rounds. I don't see it. Rob Font is the much better striker here. He has fought way better fighters than Matsumoto. And I think with Matsumoto on short notice, this is a real big step up. Against Dan Argueta, Matsumoto struggled until he landed that submission. All right, against Brad Katona, it was a decision here. So for me, I'm going to go with the underdog. I like Rob Font at plus odds. I think this fight stays on the feet. I think he's the much better striker. I think he's had the time. He's had a full camp to do this. And I think this might be a little too much too soon for Matsumoto. Look, if Matsumoto can drag him down and hold him down for 3 rounds, God bless him. I don't see that happening. Give me Font at dog money.
I love it, dude. Not only a dog pick, but a pretty confident pick, it sounds like, in the underdog Rob Font by Ian Parker. Let's move to another catchweight bout as Nikolai Veretennikov taking on newcomer Austin Vanderford. This is a fight that came together again on short notice. What do you think of here with pretty close odds in this catchweight bout?
I'm going to go with Veretennikov here. Look, this guy is powerful on the feet, good takedown defense, and the better striker. Austin Vanderford is a good wrestler, and he's coming off a knockout win, but it's over somebody that is nowhere near the level of UFC caliber, just in general. And before that, Austin lost back-to-back fights in a really bad way, does not have a good chin, and on short notice. I understand getting your key to the UFC was the ultimate goal for him. Stylistically wise, not good. On really short notice, even worse. I like Veretennikov here. I think he's the better fighter. I think he gets it done by knockout, but I will happily take the minus 120 in this fight.
All right, we got one fight more to break down in detail. One more last one of the best bets for Ian. It is Ebo versus Ion. Where's your pick, Ian, in this last fight here on your best bets?
Ooh, I like what you did there. Look, Ion Cutelaba, we all know is an absolute. Ion Cutelaba, we'll never be able to do that one again, right? Ion Cutelaba is an absolute maniac. He's fun to watch at weigh-ins, but he's just not the sharpest tool in the shed here, because where he could beat Ebo Aslan is if he were to wrestle. I don't think he's got the cardio to wrestle for 3 rounds. I also think that Ebo Aslan is a very good athlete, not necessarily an overall great mixed martial artist, but on the feet, the better striker, knockout power here. This number keeps climbing up in Aslan's favor, so I'm going to go with Ebo Aslan at minus 180. I wouldn't go any higher than that, because he does have to stuff the takedowns, and I'm hoping he can do that. But if this stays on the feet, I believe he gets it done with relative ease.
All right, so jump on Aslan if you agree there with Ian's pick, but do it now because that line is moving in his direction. We already talked about Song Yadong over there at Team Alpha Man. We do have one more play that Ian wants to talk about, and that involves Andre Fili, his teammate over there at Team Alpha Man. Where are we going on this fight?
I like Andre Fili here. Look, Costa, a few fights ago, I was pretty high on him, right? He lost to Garcia. He showed some gassing tendencies in a couple of other fights, and he's primarily a grappler here. Fili looked good against Cub Swanson. He's looked good in the past in other fights. On the feet, he's the much better striker. Carries knockout power here. As long as he doesn't get taken down and held down there, and Fili's an underrated wrestler as well. Give me Fili to win this fight. We can do a long shot prop here. We're going to go Fili round 3 TKO as well. He's got that power. Costa fades later on. I could see it happening, but I think this line's a little wonky. I would have put it at Fili minus 130.
All right, so I love it when you do that. Minus 130 is what Ian would have put it at, so you're getting 20 there of value. Fili minus 110 to get it done against Costa. So that will wrap up our best bets. Let's go ahead and recap where we're putting all of our units down on this UFC Fight Night over in Seattle. Go ahead and sum things up for us here on this one, Ian.
Yeah, I want to be clear. This just happens to be a coincidence that the last few cards, the main event and the co-main event, have been my heavier plays. That's not always going to be the case, as we saw with Grant Dawson a few weeks ago when we hit that 5 unit. But give me Song Yadong to win in over 2.5 rounds. I don't think he's going to have trouble with Henry, and I think Henry is durable enough to get into the later rounds of this fight. Give me Fluffy Hernandez to win and over 1.5 rounds. That gets that money line from minus 338 to minus 149. I think that pressure is going to be way too much for Brendan Allen. Give me Rob Font at plus 130 for 1 unit. The veteran and the stand-up, I think, is better than Matsumoto. Give me Ebo Aslan, Fili, and Veretennikov all at 1 unit. Parlay all together for 37.27, and let's have a day in Seattle.
All right, there you go with all of your best bets with the unit breakdowns. Let's talk about the long shot parlay. Now, you gave us a crazy one last week. I think the odds were 260,000 to 1 or something like that. Wow, how big are they going to? Can you outdo that this week on our long shot parlay?
Wouldn't be hard to do because I don't know if I hit a single leg last week in that one, but this one I do like. I actually find this one to be pretty realistic here if these guys are to win. Song Yadong by decision, Rob Font by decision, and this one is sneaky. Gene Silva versus Melseg Bogdasarian over 2.5 rounds. Brent, the reason why, I know everyone's going to think I'm crazy because Gene Silva is a knockout artist. Melseg Bogdasarian, not knocked out, only been subbed in the UFC. If Silva doesn't use the ground game, this guy is a rangy kickboxer, can stay away from the power. I think that fight can go all 3 rounds. We're getting plus odds on it. Let's go.
All right, there you go. So almost 13 to 1 on the long shot parlay. One final order of business. Parker's parlay. Where are we going with UFC Fight Night?
Brett, I need this one this week. I need to get back on the Hot Sugar Parker's parlay. Alonzo Menningfield, we've been betting against him a lot. We've been winning. But this is a fight he's taking on a newcomer who's taking on short notice. And Menningfield back at 4-7 May, which I really love, should get this done. Give me Malik and Klein under 2.5 rounds. Malik, listen, everyone is picking this guy to win in round 1. I'm paying more to buy us some extra time. Last but not least, Simone Basharat, fight to go the distance. We don't need to talk too much about that. If you watch this sport, those guys are decision machines. At plus 117, I feel like I'm playing it safe, but I need to get a win and a parlay in the bank. Let's do it.
Yeah, the Parker's parlays are going to come back around. They finished last year extremely hot, off to a little bit of a slower start here on the Parker parlays, but they're coming, people. They're coming. Keep putting your faith in Ian Parker's parlays, the best bets. Everything's coming. 2025 is still going to be a fantastic year. We got UFC Fight Night back at the Apex to talk about next week, and then the big one, the UFC pay-per-view in March. We will be in Las Vegas for that. Can't wait. Very much already looking forward to that one. Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker for 5 rounds. Yeah. 2 weeks in Las Vegas. We'll be breaking that one down. Until then, enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the fights. Hopefully, Ian put a little bit more money in the pockets, and we'll see you next week. Take care.